TV, the place to be for creators and fans, we're the key. Join the wave, let's make some noise. Rad TV, we're the future, enjoy.
Hey, welcome everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Bijou,
Hey,
Matt,
hey.
Butter, Terry, Mars. Hello, everyone.
GM, this is very rad.
It is. I've been pumped all week for this. I hope you guys are half as excited as I am because I am fired up to talk to you. Thanks for taking time out to talk to us today. My name's Cameron. I'm head of community at Rad TV, and I am very excited to hang out with the AI Art Today crew and the AI Art Tonight crew and the AI Art Today 420 crew. I don't know how they differentiate, but you guys got so much going on. It's worth asking questions of how you got started, the way you all show up in the space every morning. I know it was at 8 a.m. for a while. I think you've pushed it back. We'll get those details in a minute, but you've really invigorated the space, and you're so inspirational. You show up every morning. It really shows dedication and gives people a place to feel like they have a spot and a home and a base in the community. And I'm very grateful that you all do that for us every day. And I know a lot of the community members are as well. So that being said, good morning. Thank you again for your time today. Welcome. I see you all are on mute. Unmute. This is super casual. I have so many questions for you guys. I don't even know where to start. So good morning. Welcome. How was your day today? Happy Friday.
Good morning, Cameron. Thanks so much for having us. And
Pumped to have you.
Hey, AI Art gang. Nice to have us all in one place.
Whoop, whoop.
It's awesome.
So how's life? Let's start with this. Where is everybody? You don't have to give me exact locations, as whatever you're comfortable with. Don't dox yourself too hard, but like if you want to give countries, if you want to give regions, I would love to hear how spread out you all are, or if you guys are local to one another.
Go ahead, Bijou, and then I'll go in order on my list up here.
I like it.
I'm in Boston. I'm Boston born and bounced around a little bit, but pretty much Boston most of my life. Also spent some time growing up as a little girl in Miami. So just about 99.9% East Coast, and right now I'm about 5 miles west of Boston, but pretty much get into Cambridge and Boston just about every day.
Awesome. Terry?
Hi,
Terry?
good morning.
Hey,
Good
Terry.
morning. Hello, everybody, or afternoon for us East Coasters. Hey, I'm down here in Ponte Vedra, Florida. And it's a bit chilly down here, surprisingly.
Don't lie. What's the temperature? It better be under 30 if you're going to be calling it chilly. What's chilly?
Oh, chilly is 40.
All right.
Smallest violin in the
world. It was -8 here yesterday morning.
Oh my God. Oh, I lived in Chicago and Boulder for a little bit, and yeah, I know those negative numbers. Super cold.
Super cold. I saw you, like North Florida got like 6 inches of snow. That was pretty crazy.
You know what? I had a neighbor. She does a lot of traveling, and she sent me a text. She goes, "Hey, tomorrow morning, I know you get up at 5 a.m. Can you just take a picture of my house? It's going to snow." And so I did everything. I got up at 5 a.m. and looked out the window. There was no snow. It was just bloody cold.
I like it. If it's going to be that cold, it might as well give me a little bit of snow. So at least I can feel warm and cozy inside. King Tony, welcome to the space. Thanks for joining us. Who else we got left? We got Bijou. We got Terry responded. We got Mars. Go ahead, Mars.
I'm calling from East Texas, Longview, Texas. However, I'm fixing to move into the Stargate building, so excited about that.
Let's go.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for being here. East Texas. Tony's Texas.
Oh, yeah, I'm only about 2 hours away from you. Hour and a half, Tony.
Let's go. Yeah, and this is Matt Butter. I am in Brooklyn, but Yeah, recently came back after I'm a New Yorker, lived here for 30 years, but didn't. I grew up around the world, but then was away for 10 years from my Brooklyn home here out in Bangkok, and then on the West Coast for a bit. So I get around a fair amount,
Awesome. Very
but
cool.
but here in Brooklyn now.
Awesome. I love that you guys are spread out. And that's, it's listening to you all talk. Benny, I see you joined. I'm going to invite you to speak. If anybody else I need to invite to speak, please let me know, gang. And I know Jin was joining, but I'm not sure what his account was. So
He's not up yet. I'm
Cool.
sending him a DM now.
cool. Welcome, Benny.
Benny's the one to speak on snow right now.
Let's hear it. I would like to hear where Benny's, if wherever you're willing to share, Benny, on your location, if you're willing to share anything.
Oh yeah, reporting from America's Icebox, New Orleans, Louisiana. Fresh off 13 inches of snow.
Where are you?
America's Icebox.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Not 13 inches though, but okay. I know where that is. I know where you're at. That's great.
Yeah, we have more snow than Alaska, Chicago, and what they said, Buffalo, so far this year.
Incredible. So it's really interesting to hear you all. You all seem like you have such a great vibe. Every morning, it seems like you all have known each other for years. And I don't want to ask too specific of questions. Just getting started. I have quite a few specific questions we'll get into later. But I would love to start off with Mars. Mars, how did this group of people come together? And how did the group of AI Art Today Avengers form? How did you guys connect? Where did the idea spawn from? Maybe you started to connect even before the idea came. I would love to hear where the seed of inspiration came from.
Yeah, I got into NFTs like 2021, probably about minted my first one in early 2021. I'm thinking it was April, but I knew that I was already late. Hadn't done art in a while, and I was already behind. When I started seeing AI come across, mainly Midjourney, I was like, "Oh my God, what is this?" And then I thought, I'm early, and I was like, holy shit. So I started going to AI Joe Space, which is still going on. I was really inspired. So I decided, if I'm gonna be early, hell, we just need to do it every day, kind of the John Lee Dumas style. And so then I picked a time. It's not the best time, but a time that worked for me, and just started hammering it out. I was lucky. I invited John Barrymore also to come. He wasn't able to make it, but we went just every day with maybe one or two people, and quickly I met Mad Butter. I put out, "Hey, I'd like some help with a co-host," and Mad Butter hopped on, and then it accelerated immediately. And so that was just like a month later, and probably about a month after Mad Butter started co-hosting, we started doing interviews. Our first interview was
So
Pindar Van Armen.
this is like May 21. You said you bought your first thing
Oh
in
no,
April.
yeah, I bought
Decided
my
how
first
long?
NFT. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go
so
ahead.
we started the first show in October
Okay, cool.
of 2022, and so I mean we were really early, and then by November, our first interviews, or maybe a little earlier, was Pindar Van Armen, Rope Reynesto, before anybody was really picking up on him, and so it's been a wild ride, and Mad Butter's just been like going full steam ahead ever since.
You guys are crushing it. I mean, you're really a morning show that I look forward to every morning. It's one of the, everybody grabs their phone in the morning, I assume. I don't know. I'm not spying on y'all. But, grab my phone first thing in the morning, and I run through my checks of the things I check for work, for my personal life, for whatever. But one of the very first things I do is open X, pull up your guys' space, and turn it on right away. And that's how I start my morning, getting warmed up for work. And I always feel you're so knowledgeable. I've told Benny publicly before, always so knowledgeable and never capping, never adding hyperbole or saying things that are confusing or parroting things wrong. It's really an awesome space for anyone looking to learn or connect with the community. So, it's you invited Mad Butter. you just dove in right away, 5 days a week, 8 a.m. You just were like, okay, we're going full on morning show, game over. That's what we do now. I'm in.
And you would think you would run out of topics, but man, because AI moves so fast, I mean, there's rarely a day that something new doesn't come out
Right.
or something wild. And Benny, he's been like our GPT the whole time. And that guy is just in it early. You know, man, he's our secret weapon, man.
He knows everything. He's like he's AI Art Today Spaces young Jamie on the pod. He pulls up everything. He knows answers to everything. Yeah, so I mean, like he never misquotes. He really crushes it. So you know what? When I first started joining, you guys were it was pretty casual. Was it always that way, or were you diving in with topics at first? And I know you do specific interviews sometimes, but a lot of times it's just casual, show up and hang. Is there a structure that you guys are planning in the background? How does it work?
Nah, that would involve too much work, I think. No, I do think that what's great about it is that it does kind of reflect the sort of, the different hosts. And so that, everyone brings a different little flavor to it, a different set of interest and a different set of, a different perspective on things. So, so I think that was good. We're taking on a couple of group things, like certainly the interviews became a really important part of the show, which I did them once a week. John Barrymore did a lot of those. So did Mars and Jin and I and Bijou. You haven't done a lot of interviews, but what Bijou introduced really was the video capability. The idea that we could show some work. It's always been we're about AI art, but it's so difficult on X to show stuff, and she kind of mastered that. So we all jumped on board that too. So there is a little bit of structure that comes around our interests and capabilities, but it's organic.
Yeah, yeah, very cool. Have you guys are you connected in any way artistically? Are you guys collabing on projects together? Have you crossed that bridge together yet, or is it still largely hosting other artists in the space and other knowledgeable thinkers?
I want to jump on that just real quick, kind of abstractly. So we share so much of what we're working on that although it might not be considered an actual collab, it kind of feels that way. Like I feel like sharing it, getting feedback, and then seeing in the behind the scenes in the DMs and things, it feels, because it's so organic. It does almost feel like, how can it not be a collab?
Right, right.
And shout out to Derek Schultz, OG AI artist. He also was with Mad Butter doing several interviews, and I had invited him, but he said he was feeling kind of under the weather, so he was a big part early on.
And excuse a little bit of extra dead air today. I want to make sure to give plenty of room for anybody that wants to hop in and answer questions. So don't think that a moment of pause is something wrong with your audio. It's just leaving some room for different people to jump in. So Mars, what was the goal? You say you knew you were early. What did you see early? What's your vision of where this is headed, and what was your goal for the show? What anchored you to show up every day and say, I need to be delivering this information? Was this like majorly impactful moment for you when you came across the first tools and like blew you away and you're like, I have to be in this for the rest of my life? What was the energy in that moment and the vision of, I'm doing this, I'm showing up so hard? What's the end goal for this, and are you achieving that now? Is this it?
So I'm gonna be completely honest. The reason I pushed so hard with this is because uh, I obviously knew from NFTs that this was going to blow up the same way. But I also love weird, lowbrow alternative art. And I felt like if I could keep some kind of like bat signal up and just not let all the tech heads take over, that was really my goal, was really put art out there, not commercial art, but art with art history. And that's why it worked out so well with Mad Butter, because he has such a love and understanding of contemporary art and collects art. And so from the beginning, it was really all about the art, and then knowing that AI would be on it. And so even now, it's still the art that pushes forward. And even now, that's my subliminal bat signal, is just to, kind of say, hey, AI, grab it, get onto it. And but I'm really kind of subliminally reaching out to all the weird artists. Shout out Frisky Fraught Trot. Let's see.
Yeah, we got
Neil,
a lot
all
of
you
we got a
guys,
lot of
let's go.
friends and a lot of friends in the audience too, and that's what the great thing about this thing. It really is a community, and I would say, by the way, Jen is here.
Welcome,
One of the
Jen. I
hosts
see
can
he's
let him up.
connecting.
Yeah. Okay. Great. What I was going to say is that, like, when I moved back from Thailand and came back to the U.S. and then was in San Diego where I didn't know anybody, it was like I had millions of friends in Brooklyn on the East Coast and leaving a lot of friends in Bangkok after 7 years of making them and in a brand new place. It was it was fairly lonely, and the NFT thing started, and I really got excited because it's sort of like that was in the mix of all the things I've done in my life. I mean, I'm an entrepreneur. I mean, I started a few companies at .com in the 90s and, some physical computing and some all kinds of things, mostly relating to art, design, tech, physical computing, all this kind of combination of things. But NFTs pulled that together, and I excited. But what I saw was all this activity and saw all these people, starting to kill it and starting to make a name for themselves. And I just felt like, you know, I'm just alone here, like futzing around with this stuff. I kind of saw through the same spaces that Mark's talking about, like the power of community and the power of making connections, of sharing, of both in terms of knowledge acquisition, but also just in terms of uh, a place to bounce your ideas off and to sort of marinate in a scene a little bit. So a little bit late to the NFT thing, and I still dived in. But when the AI thing, I think Mark's saying the same thing. Is like, you know what? I know something that's going to be huge, and I know the value of getting in early, and so let's go. You know. And it's true, we're just talking about the number of friends, even right here in this space right now, the number of people that I've gotten to know well over the last, year and a half, 2 years, or something like that is extraordinary. I mean, these are really good friends, at this point. We never met ever,
Right.
but a lot of, it's a community that transcends, space, geography, and it's incredibly valuable to me. So, so that's what I get out of it.
Absolutely. I feel the same way. I've shared before publicly and not afraid to share again. I'll share it 1,000 times that most of my best friends in the world I have right now I met on X through Bitcoin. And I know it's crazy to most people to think that like you're meeting people and they're now your real friends through Bitcoin. And it's like, yeah, we started just messaging each other on X. And then before you know it, you meet up at some event somewhere, then you're friends, and then you're hanging out. And it's how lucky are we to live in this time? I mean, it's incredible that we get to connect in this way. And not only that, it's like people are collaborating globally with such ease right now. It's difficult not to be very excited and like kind of jaded of like how awesome this space is. Why isn't everything this way? With this type of connectivity and everybody feeling like they have their place and a voice and the ability to join into a community like this. I think it's really special what you guys are doing. So, Mad Butter, do you have an art background as well? Were you an artist previously, and this has attracted you? What was the moment that you saw? What stood out to you of like the moment that you were like, all right, I see this? Was it a tool that you saw or a song you heard? What was the trigger point for you?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, yeah, I've been an artist for 30, 40 years. And even more than that, ever since I was a teenager. I'm old, but when I moved to New York, I definitely lived in a tenement, paid $100 rent in New York, which is kind of amazing for anybody who, worked as a bartender and hung out in the East Village and really absorbed that whole lifestyle. And then eventually decided to get my life together a little bit and got my MFA in computer art in the early 90s at the dawn of the computer era. So I've been in this game for a long time, and then started a whole bunch of companies that sort of moved in and out of out of like, like I said, like a .com or, early web company in the early 90s
Mhm.
and so on and so forth, but also interactive lighting company in the 2000s and interactive bar, combining my louche days of being a bartender in the Lower East Side dive bar with my high tech capabilities. So I've been immersed in tech and art forever. And I remember seeing that first DeepMind stuff that came out when it hit the news, and then the first Dolly stuff after that, and just instantly getting it and instantly being excited. So that's like, what, 2017 or something
Yeah,
like
for
that,
sure. Yeah,
I
really
know
early.
other people got in even earlier, like in terms of saw the first
You're talking about
the
like the
first
pictures that were all like had eyeballs all over them and
yeah, they
things
had
like
that
that. Yeah.
psychedelic
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
that sort of very weird psychedelic palette that was and the infinite zooms and all that kind of stuff. And then when I saw the first Dolly stuff, I've always been interested, I'm long interested in sort of generative art, in the idea of using code and code art and all that kind of stuff, and studied code art, and that was a first big fine art fascination, as well as sort of like a occupational thing. I had to work with coders and designers, kind of was in the middle of that in any number of businesses I started and worked in. So, but yes, I would say that DeepMind thing was the first real awakening. When I first saw that StyleGAN stuff, when I started getting involved in the early 2021 or something like that, I instantly fell in love and said, this is what I got to do. So jumped right in.
Awesome. Jen, thank you so much for joining and welcome to the space. We asked early on where everyone was from and preface that with don't dox yourself any way that you're uncomfortable. We're not asking for that, but maybe a region or an area you'd like to share that you're joining us from.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, everybody? Can you hear me? Am
Yep,
I
loud
clear?
and clear. Welcome, Jen.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm pretty much doxxed already. Like I have my
Let's
face and
go.
my name. So, uh, my name is Ramel Jackson. I'm born and raised in New York City, particularly in the Harlem region. And yeah, that's where I'm from.
Let's go. Thanks for joining us today. Welcome.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Well, let me say, Jen, we first met him early on. He was in the show very early as a participant every day, and I think I hounded him so bad he finally became a host. We so desperate, but this boy, when we first met him, I'm 53, so I could say that. Back in early 22, he was making AI video in Automatic 1111 and turning Matrix videos into anime, and it blew my mind. And I was like, we gotta keep this guy. And so, I mean, he was doing stuff before Pers and anybody. And so Jen is always on the cutting edge, and so he's been just a major asset to the brand, and we're so proud to have him.
Awesome background. Thank you for that, Mars. Jen, what was your first big moment? I mean, with that little bit of background, it really has me interested. Where did you see AI first? And if you're at the cutting edge, would love to hear what you're working on right now, and as well as what was the first thing that triggered you into, all right, I'm diving in. I've got to be a part of this space.
So it's pretty interesting. So like, um, for the most part, I was a big fan of like people talking about AI and stuff like that, and just in general. So the LLMs started to really kind of pop off, and that's why I got interested in the space. And then I seen DALL-E 2, I believe, like the release of DALL-E 2, that really got me kind of hyped for this stuff, and like I want to try more. I want to try more of it. And I think during that time, I was doing some video stuff for, I don't know, some type of game. And I was like, this, if AI is the future, then it's going to completely change this game. And, because I can generate all my assets, all my pictures, and maybe even potential videos, do some custom styling, or have these chatbots, talk to people instead of me doing it myself. So I just dived in. And also, was what was weird about the AI art scene, uh, a lot of what started coming through 4chan. So 4chan has a technology section, and the creation of Stable Diffusion, not Stable Diffusion, but Automatic 1111 happened there. And all the innovation was in that odd place. And I was lucky enough to kind of be in that mix for a long time, from either the creation of the checkmate models, those Gradio demos that had, Stable Diffusion, I think 1.3, from the birth of Comfy UI on, 4chan. So I've been lucky to witness all that and maybe participate in some of the model creation and stuff like that. I think I was super early in Civitai as well. I had the most popular model in Civitai when it first started for a good while. Now it's like, they're like millions ahead, but that was like when, the best model could get you, like, you just had to have like 1,000 or 2,000, but that was like super early days. And I was posting on Reddit. I was making LoRa models. I was kind of grinding. I was grinding as hard as I can for this art
Was
scene.
there a community already formed on Reddit, and it came over from 4chan, or were you searching for the community outside of 4chan at that point?
So it was all interconnected. So you had people on 4chan, which had certain quirks that made it untenable for other people to kind of engage in. Then you had Reddit, which was doing pretty well, but there was still a lot of like severe AI backlash. I think like certain companies couldn't do like Patreons, or they couldn't do like a Kickstarter for their groups because, Patreon and like Kickstarter was like shutting that stuff down. So you had so many different groups at that time kind of forming and creating content and just posting and sharing new techniques. So I was just trying to do it all and trying to put out as much content as I could, just because I really thought it was interesting. And, I had ideas of doing comics and stuff like that before, and just seeing a technology that would enable me to do so was just such a miracle. So, I dedicated myself to it for a very long time.
Awesome to hear. Thank you for sharing that with us. And the fact that you call it a miracle, I think, it's anybody can hear that word and laugh at it, but the things that AI is unlocking for society right now, it's really hard to even comprehend. You can sit down and have a 5-hour long conversation every single day like you guys are, and you're still not like getting to the end. We're just getting started. It's really amazing. Thanks for sharing, Jen. If anybody else wants to jump in and ask questions, feel free to put your hand up. Like I said, very casual space. My name is Cameron. I'm head of community at Rad TV. We are interviewing the AI Art Today crew. They host a show every weekday. What time are we now? I know there's been some debate back and forth. What time are we, Mad Butter and Bijou?
Yeah, we're trying 9 a.m.
All right.
Though if it's really unpopular, we might go back. But it does seem whatever time we pick, it's always gets the maximum excitement and number of people at the moment where you can't do it anymore because it's 2 hours in. So that's the rule. So it's like whatever we push it back. Now today I saw even at 11 it was like as full and as
right.
as whatever vital as it's been the whole time. So like that's just the butter always lies down kind of aspect of that. But we're trying to push it a little bit.
We need the gin after hours.
Yeah, I did tell you that, right, Cameron, that in one version of the thing, when Jen came on, Mars had to go to work early. And so he started at 8 because he did it before work. And then he occasionally in the very end, he'd be whispering while clearly people were working around him and handing him important stuff and all this kind of stuff. So that was kind of funny. And then I would kind of hang on for sometimes like a half an hour. But even back then I was like, I don't really want to do this by myself. And when Jen came on board, he had this incredible energy, and he'd say, "No, I'll take over," and he'd run it for like another 2, 3, 4 hours sometimes. Right? I mean, Jen, was crazy some of those shows that you did, and it was like incredible energy, and so that was kind of like a heyday a little bit. It's kind of funny when Mars go to work, and I like said, the old guys would go, and
The
then
old guys, get out of here.
Jin would come out to play, do the after
Yeah.
party. The
Everybody, all the old people go to bed, and the kids come out and play at AI art.
Yeah, like you said,
kid
at 10
time.
o'clock in the morning is when we're done. That was a good time.
Yeah, I mostly had to leave for a good deal. Like, I still haven't came back, mostly because I had to find some work. Like, and the holidays was a bit tough. So, I think maybe somewhere in February, I should be able to come back. Just have to get everything aligned as well. Just YouTube and I mean YouTube and maybe streaming is easier because I could do it at whatever time. But yeah, I definitely needed that time slot for the holidays. But yeah, somewhere around February, I should be going back, and I think we can have those long 4-hour spaces again, because there's a whole lot to talk about.
Jin, what do you think the longest space you ever did was?
8 hours.
8 hours. My God.
Yeah, it's like eight something hours. Yeah, I don't know. You just like it's like a wave of different people coming in and out. So it's like you're talking about one thing with a group of people, and then that kind of dies down, and then a whole new group of people from a different time zone starts to appear, and they're talking about different things, and then they die
I would
down.
check in, and it would always be some kind of crazy AI existentialism, and somebody trying to leverage some kind of crazy opinion on Jin. And Jin is the most soft-spoken guy, but he is also the most hardcore shutting people down and never get his feathers ruffled. He is so cool.
Yeah, early spaces were really weird because like you had people who were, I don't know, like very like unhinged a little bit, and some of the opinions got a little bit out of whack. I mean, so yeah, early spaces was definitely crazy. You had to be very quick to like stop it before it kind of gets to the worst possible situation.
Yeah,
Is
we
it
haven't
maybe
had
Jin, you're going through a tunnel, or is it me?
I hear Jin.
Yeah, I think
just
it's you,
fine.
Bijou. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Bijou. I was gonna say, yeah, it's been a long time since we had like a screaming, flat out brawl in the space, which
got
we've
that
had,
mute
in the
everyone.
early days.
Just gotta smash that mute everyone button real quick.
Exactly. Yeah, we've done that. We've done that over and over again.
You guys are getting like real fights, like over what? Like, is this
people
like
just screaming at each other? Just
for what though? Why?
There are just a couple hotheads in there. One was the infamous Crow who would come in, and he was a full AI guy who had an AI daughter / girlfriend, which is just too weird. And
AGI daughter from like 3 years ago.
And he would that's the one person Jin shut down.
Wait. Did you just say an AGI daughter?
Yeah, he achieved AGI himself, and he set the date, and he had a daughter who was an artist and all that. Really intense guy. Yeah, it was
Sounds
made
like
in
a
replica.
movie.
The daughter was made in replica. The AI sort of companion. You know what I mean? Companion site. And yeah, definitely like an interesting character but he would never be quiet, and then really got his feathers ruffled when people went up against him and said anything weird about him. Me and Jim got into it a little bit. That was pretty funny. But there's a couple other regulars probably don't deserve mentioning by name, but particularly around these ideas that certain people in the AI space were taking advantage of other people. Like, because for instance, when Comfy went around and people were very much published their workflow, or even when OpenAI started doing, you could publish your bot and all that kind of stuff, and then people started, ripping them off and then monetizing them. There was a huge amount of name calling about people that were supposedly violating this artist's code of ethics, and it was all kind of funny because it's like, really, we're AI, you're AI guys, and you're doing this thing about people stealing, isn't
Right.
that Isn't that a little ironic somehow? But yeah. So anyway, that hasn't happened in a bit. I think
Interesting.
some of the hotter heads have gone elsewhere.
I'll just tell you the reason I was so interested in that, and I didn't mean to pry any names. That was not my goal, or to cause any divide here. It was more of a, I have only had incredible experiences in this community, and like I've said that at pretty much every space, but I have calls with people from this community all the time. And everybody I speak to is always so polite and so nice and such great energy. I just can't imagine hopping into a space and hearing somebody like screaming at somebody else. Like, you guys are, it seems like a pretty close-knit group of people where everyone is happy to share and even listen. And I mean, look, everybody's on mute right now. Like that doesn't happen in other spaces. You know, like if you go into a finance space, some guy's doing dishes. He's like the baby screaming in the background for two people. Some person's talking to his wife and it's not unmuted. And like all that's usually happening here. And all of these spaces, every morning you guys do this, and you all are very polite in and out of the conversation. So interesting to hear that there is some like internal, dialogues that's ruffling some feathers here and there.
Yeah, you know what the other hot button issue was? I think, I mean, politics gets in, and we try to stay out of politics. It's hard these days because AI is so intermingled in the current news. With things that are happening with Trump and the new administration and all that. Then it's hard not to sort of try to sort through all that and and talk about the politics of it. But in general, I would say more like cultural politics get us in trouble. For instance,
Sure.
Somebody would come in and do an AI of some crazy, their take on some like crazy Hindu dance, and it's super funny and super goofy. And then somebody would come in and say, that's kind of offensive to me because I'm Indian. And they're like, oh no, hey, relax, no, actually. And then someone else would jump in and say, well, no, you're a jerk. No, you're a jerk. This kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it was around a lot of this, I guess, the sort of cultural issue of appropriation, which AI is so good at, and who got to represent, I guess that's the only.
Whose AI is the best cultural appropriator is really what we're going for. We went from it like being like a problem, and now it's like, no, we need the best cultural appropriating AI of all time. That's the whole goal. The whole goal is please appropriate my culture as accurately as possible. That's great. So you guys have been doing this for a long time, and you guys mentioned early spaces. How many spaces do you think you have done? And second half of that question, how you guys were doing spaces, I think, in the early days of when spaces were still only kept for 30 days if they were recorded. Did you guys lose a lot of that early history? And second part, let me not rephrase it, but just mention it again. How many episodes do you think you've done?
I don't know. I bet we're close to 1,000. What do you think?
It's a lot. And no, luckily we have not lost. They're still all archived thanks to Elon. And however, I early on I did start saving them just because our friend John Barrymore said, "Hey, buddy, this is history."
Yep.
And but yeah, we're lucky on that.
Absolutely. It's great that they are leaving them up now. There was a period where they were 30 days and gone. I don't know when that changed or if they just like back cataloged everything and kept everything available. You'd think they would have to almost like they can't be deleting things. There's too much going on. Like you said, there could be a space where an argument happens that results in something. And that's like, public domain took some event took place live. It seems like they wouldn't be able to delete them. So I love that you bring up like in that conversation of heated back and forth that like cultural differences. I heard somebody say the other day, and this is just reminded me of this. So that's why I'm bringing it up. Is if somebody was mad over, let's say a traditional artist, whatever that means these days, is mad at somebody for utilizing AI, and they're saying something about that. I brought that up in a conversation the other day, and a friend of mine was like, imagine how mathematicians felt when the first calculators came out that were like handheld pocket calculators, and they had been doing like their whole job was doing long equation math in an office somewhere. imagine like they felt like the world is over for them. Like that's all they did. It's all they went to school for. And it's like, nah, we don't need you anymore. It took you all day to figure this out or a couple hours and we can do it in minutes. It's just really interesting that that's where we are for like everything, whether you want to code a project or create a scene or see a person. It's really amazing. Go ahead, Jen. Jump in anytime. You don't have to raise your hand. Super casual. Anybody, come on in.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, did you ever like request your data?
Yeah,
From
actually, I did it for years, and I haven't been able to request it since late 2019. I would love to know your experience.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty good. I think I got all my spaces back. I think I did it for AI Art Today's channel, and I was able to get like the litany of like all the
Recently?
spaces and stuff there. I don't know how far it goes back, but I'll try to request my data to see if I can get those old interviews. I think we did a really cool interview with Marshall McLuhan's grandson, Andrew McLuhan.
Yeah, Andrew McLuhan.
Yeah.
That was great.
And I was like, dang, we need that one back. That was really cool. So I'll see if we can find that one. But
Yeah, but we
I
also
think,
interviewed Pindar Van Arman back in 21, I think, or something, or 22. 22, maybe 22. Sorry, not 21. But a long time ago. And Rope, at the very beginning, he was like our first interview on Rainisto and a whole bunch of who hopefully, actually, I just mentioned that we're probably going to interview him next week, I hope. Again.
Cristobal with the CEO of Runway.
Yeah. We had a whole lot of, I think, sort of, things that should be saved for posterity for sure. We had a lot of great interviews.
yeah, I think the founder of Leonardo as well, early on.
Yeah, that was before Leonardo dropped.
Wow,
Yeah,
very
that
cool.
was crazy. But I will say, like, I guess to your point about like some of these discussions and maybe why they died down. And I think one of the big things was people were over anthropomorphizing AI. So, I think a lot of people had like very highfalutin notions of what AI was or what AI could potentially be. And, they were relating to these chatbots in, very humanistic ways, giving them emotions and feelings and stuff like that. But I think as time marched on, and more people were exposed to these tools and seeing how they work and seeing how their limitations, I do think actually over time people became start to anthropomorphize it less, and start using it more as a tool. And I think once you start to see it as a tool, or at least something that doesn't really look at things the way we project it towards humans, I think that those kind of discussions kind of ended. Like a lot of people, and I think in the beginning would be like, yeah, AI girlfriend, maybe someone can have that. But now I think more people are looking at it as a tool and, they've been exposed to it and seen, the kind of interactions it does have. They're maybe less privy to kind of project feelings or have some level of transference towards the AI system.
Yeah, I was just having this conversation the other day. It's not about like her in quotes for AI, like that type of relationship, but more so around the lines of how confidence. PJ just joined us. I see PJ in the crowd. AI Film 3. We were just talking about it yesterday of it giving AI giving people confidence. It gives you someone to bounce ideas off of when no one's around. It gives you information that you feel like you can count on, or at least you can even have a conversation around, to where when you do take that first step, you have a little bit more confidence. So like, I think AI will probably help more people get girlfriends than it will serve as a girlfriend. Like, like it's just gonna level up people in such a way that it's going to help society in ways we can't even fathom right now, because it is able to be so helpful.
Yeah, even Jen changed my opinion on it, because I was like, AI, girlfriends, avatars, like, I think it's stupid. Like, I can't even talk to my Alexa hardly. And Jen was like, some people just have shitty people around them.
Yeah.
And some people are just treated terribly constantly. And it is a real escape to be able to go and talk to somebody that's going to encourage you and be nice to you. And I was like, I was taking that for granted.
Yeah.
So he's absolutely right.
Yeah. I think about this often. Being an artist myself and somebody who didn't get any you know, notice for a long time, it's it's unbelievable how much a like can change your day. And like I'm saying that from like personal experience. Like somebody liking your post on X will make your whole month. Like it literally saves people's lives. And I'm not saying that facetiously. Like it is like a free currency that you can just hand out to anybody. And I feel like we all take that good energy for granted. Like I get everybody here, including myself. I'm probably I've done it the most. I've been on X forever. Looked at a tweet and be like, I'm not gonna like that tweet. Like what's wrong with me? Like I'm like, it might even be my friend's post, you know? And I'm just not liking it and not bigging them up in some way or putting their work in front of people. And like I don't know if it was, it was a long period where I was this person and it was like a feast or famine mentality, and I was on the famine side, and I looked at it as like, you know, I don't want that person to get those likes or whatever it is. And like, I really don't know what it was at any given moment, but it's just so powerful that I think that's what this space is really bringing about is it's really people that were afraid to create or afraid to take that first step can now just like type a prompt and now they have their first, like they literally just created their first thing. It's in their file. It's like in their folder, just like any creator ever has had their first thing they've created and they feel alive. They feel like I got a story I can tell. And like, if you guys have ever run as a musician, if you've ever written a song, like I'll never forget John Mayer has an incredible series on YouTube where he's talking to, I forget the school, but it's like a 6 or 12 part series where he's standing on stage. It's what's the Boston Music School, Bijou?
Bijou, I think got knocked out. Maybe
She's
we
back.
bring her back
I
up.
added her back. I think she's back.
Okay, I have her.
Oh, hi. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
What the question of
What was the Boston Music School? What's the big?
Oh, Berkeley.
Berkeley. Yeah, it's
School
at
of
Berkeley. I
Music.
think it's Berkeley. I think it's Berkeley where John Mayer does this. And he talks about the feeling of, he's like, if you ever written a song and like go for a walk and you're walking around knowing you made a thing that nobody else on earth knows you made. They don't even know it exists. Like that feeling is like the creator feeling that I just don't think people really, unless you've experienced it, can understand how transformative it is. And I think that's where like the root of AI is really founded and where it's coming from. So like anybody who thinks like the bad things, there's so much good coming from it. It's unbelievable. And before we jump off of this, I wanted to come back to, and we stay on this. I definitely want to stay on this, Mars, but I wanted to bring up, if you guys are looking for old spaces, there's a website called spacesdashboard.com that has every space that's live and past that you can go check out. So if you're not hip to that, definitely utilize that. Go ahead, Mars. You had your hand up. Jump in anytime. Like I said, nobody needs to raise their hand here. Just jump on in.
I was going to switch the talk a little bit and give a shout out to Terry and Bijou and even some of the other ladies in our space, Ariel with Loop. And so Mad Butter and I, even in the early days, would be like, man, we need a female co-host or we need some more women in this space. We are AI. So a lot of it is tech heavy, which is tech bro. And so early on we were like, oh man. And, and I know this kind of uncomfortable to talk about this aspect real quick too, but we were lucky from the beginning to always have Jen and Benny with us. And I always felt like that our space, was as inclusive as possible, not to be inclusive, but that part of the mission for AI art today is to lift up the whole AI art scene and positivity and push it forward. And Mad Butter and I have all these back channels and DM groups where we even reach out to every other people that would start spaces and try to help them and encourage them and build them up. And we've built, that's how we ended up building relationships with Fellowship and Run Diffusion and you guys. But so we're always like, and then Terry came along and Bijou, and then Bijou just like took the torch and ran with it with AI art tonight. And so we were so lucky, and it just like broadened our whole voice. And I'm so thankful for our ladies.
Oh, Mars, that's so sweet. Thank you. Thank you for including me. I just, this has been amazing. I do have a funny story about my first time popping into the AI Art Today space very early on. And I think it was an 8 a.m. and I saw Mars there. And I think I was one or two other people were there. one of two people. And I thought, oh my God, this is a private conversation. I'll just sit there and listen. And then I actually thought, oh my God, it really is a private conversation. So I popped out. But then I saw every single day Mars was doing this. And I was like, oh my God, he's talking about such great things. And I know I'm a super quiet person. I did drink a whole cup of hot chocolate a moment ago, so I'm babbling. But yeah, this space has been amazing. Even for my own, getting up every once in a while and saying something in our space is really important to me because I don't talk a lot. But it's really encouraged me to find a voice and participate and share what I've been doing and other in my real life I actually it's because of this space it's encouraged me to go out and teach folks like seniors about AI and kids and stuff like that. It's been you guys are I don't know, you guys are my heroes. So
I would say also, there are some people that are natural communicators, and I don't feel like I was ever one. And like I was nervous as hell in the early spaces when I get up to talk. Something the mic's on me, and the mic's on. What And certainly got over that just after years of doing this. You can't shut me up now, but I do think that I kind of recognize that that you'd be surprised. The people that come in that don't aren't sort of built to sort of compete, like in that kind of, this kind of voice banter kind of thing. That's why you say, Cameron, in a way, the hands thing. In a way, I do think for us, it gives a little bit of space to get people to talk who maybe are particularly comfortable talking, or I am constantly surprised by people's depth of experience and knowledge and perspective, coming from people that seem to sort of come in and keep on the down low a little bit till we kind of encourage them and give them space, and it's sort of a safe space to come up and talk and interact. And I'm not saying this in response to you, Terry. I'm just saying this in general. But it is great. Sometimes just people need some need some time and need some encouragement to share. And I don't know. I'm endlessly impressed. I mean, speaking of the different kinds of people, like Nancy, is she here today? Granny artist, comes in and and tells her story about the 60s, and that sort of activist art she did back in the 1960s, that kind of stuff. It's wild, and like giving her a chance to talk and to tell her story is tremendous, and we all learn a lot from it. We all grow a lot from that.
Yeah, big shout out to Mars and for what Mars continues to do behind the scenes, connecting people and bringing new AI artists that maybe we've never even heard of that are like blowing up on outside of the X space and bringing them in. And it's funny when you see like some of them might have like 120 followers on X, but then you go outside and they might have like a million outside of X. It's pretty funny. I don't know about you, Terry, but I've been called, not in the AI art space, but out around the AI art, I mean, not AI art today space, but in AI space, I've been called a bro and a dude. So you want to bring some girls or some women in, but we're still called bros and dudes, and I always laugh when that happens. But side note,
I've experienced that too, especially like my name is kind of a questionable name, so it could go whatever.
Yeah, I'd like to hear from Benny. Benny, when did you first find AI art today, and why did you stick around?
So I came across AI art with some Solana NFTs that me and my group got on, and we ended up flipping, and because it was weird, because everything before then was just 8-bit, straight 8-bit art for the most part. And it was like, oh, these are kind of cool. And we got a few of them, And then I came across a guy named, appropriately enough, his Twitter is or was, I haven't seen him in a while, Gansy, and he was using GANs, and he made some videos using GANs, and I was like, that's pretty cool. So he had a space, and I was like, all right, let me pop in and see what he's all about. And come to find out, he was hosting the space, and the space was actually to show you how crazy this whole crypto NFT AI stuff is. The space, he invited, I don't even know the guy's name, but anyway, it's the guy that is the singer of the Pokemon song. Pokemon, watch him here and there and all that. Yeah, that guy. So he was interviewing that guy in the space, and it was actually more about him than Gansy. And I was like, okay. But anyway, Gansy followed a few people. So I went through and I followed them, and one of the people, it was either Sid or Duel or somebody. They were in, ironically, AI Joe's space. And I was like, okay. So they were in, I went to AI Joe's space. They were talking, and I had like no clue all the various tools, which I wasn't doing hard. It was like, I was on the NFT side, and we were basically just flipping it at that point. So it wasn't a big deal to me at that point in time. But then I came across Sundog, who was trying to make an AI film. And I was like, okay, this is different. And he actually had a space. Him and Chris had a space, and they were talking about AI, and it was just them in there. And I was like talking with them, and they're like, yeah, we've had a few spaces, but like no one really shows up. They don't really know about this. And I was like, man, you need to show up at the main AI space. And like, what's that? And I was like, AI Joe and Pharma Psychotic, but I couldn't remember how to spell it because they would ask me to spell it. I was like, just look for AI Joe. So they end up like going, and they kind of became part of the community. But I think Pharma actually was in one of your spaces, because I followed Pharma to get, because he had the repository of different tools. So I was like, all right, let me see what's up with this. And he popped up in the AI Art Today space, and I was like, okay, let me check it out. And it was you and Andre, and y'all were talking about different things, and then y'all would have like the silent, thing, and I was like, okay. So, but I still wasn't doing like AI art. I was just doing, more my crypto stuff, honestly. And when I was listening, y'all, and then I start seeing like more NFTs and all this, I was like, okay, this is the vibe. So let me look into it. I looked into it, and I put my group on it, and I was like, this like the vibe here. Whether people know it or not, this is it. So that's why I became more active in the AI Art Today. And then you put me in like the first, one DM group, and I was in there. And something happened. Somebody was talking about something, and I was trying to tell them about like MetaMask or something, and they got offended over, I guess, because I speak, I text like the way I speak, so it's like direct. And I guess if you like reading it, people like, damn, that guy's kind of like an asshole, which I may be an asshole.
Same, I do the same thing, but no, you're not.
Yeah, but they read it, and I guess how they interpreted, they felt like, okay. So I left the group, and I was like, all right, whatever. So anyway, I was like, all right. So I was finding different tools on my own to try out, and we were mentioning in the space. So because I try to look at everything, and because I help people with everything in crypto and all this other stuff, and a lot of that time, because people just think you can only make money when a coin goes up, and that's not the case. So I was talking to various people in various groups, and I came across the fashion people, and when they came in like the damn bull in the china shop. So they came in, and they had, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and all this, and I managed to get hooked up with them, and because I know some people that make clothing, their own clothing line or whatever. And I was like, man, you might want to check out this crypto fashion, NFT fashion, and all this other stuff. And they kind of put me on some tools that I was passing around. And couple of them mentioned they were using like Dream, Wombo, and Art Breeder and all this other stuff to get ideas. And I was like, I passed it on to people like, man, y'all might want to try this out. And I had like a meeting with like a fashion thing because she found out I had a DAO as I was talking about crypto. She's like, oh, I'll be interested, this and that. So I had a meeting and I talked to my people, and what usually happens, most people faded me. Even my own, like it be your own people, like they say. They faded me on the meeting, right? So I'm like, damn, I got this meeting with this woman who has like a fashion NFT gallery, and she's expecting. So basically, I was like, I messed around with Wombo and Art Breeder and all these other things, throwing together some stuff to show her of like possibilities. And she's like, oh, that's pretty cool. Can you do X, Y, and Z? I'm like, okay. So that's when I just went down, like started messing with these tools, and it was just fun for me. But at the time, I saw how people were like able to make money and everything else. And as I kept looking, I could see like, yeah, this is more than just this picture. This is gonna be the way forward. And as I kept going, I just saw like this like impacting everything in real time, which I don't think we've ever had before.
So, just in the history of Benny's interaction with AI art today, he was always the guy who was really on.
We just lost Matt Butter, thinking is what happened. Anybody else? Everybody still with us?
Oh yeah, I thought it was me.
Nope, I think we just lost Matt
Yeah,
Butter.
can you hear me now? I have to take my
Yep.
headphones out.
Yeah,
Go
we
on
got you.
speakerphone.
Yep, you're good.
Yeah, I was gonna say in the history of Benny's interaction, like he always he always knew about something before everybody else, and all that. So at some point, rather than just ask about it, we just ask, or try to Google something. We just asked Benny, and that was kind of the history a little bit. And at some point, he made this he made a DM group where he posted all the alpha that he got, and then that was just like everyone's go-to resource for the latest information on things. But I do think something about Benny's brain. I think because he's a professional, he does crypto trading for a living, and so I think he lives in sort of Web3 and all that, all that kind of stuff. Understands technology and change in kind of in a way that most of us don't kind of grasp. So I would say there's two things. One is that sort of like that he lives the life. So he's very, very attuned to what tech change means and what new thing is an opportunity. But also, I think he's got a good way of seeing the important thing in a lot of data. Like in other words, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on, but I think you got a really good instinct for zeroing in what's important and among all the alternatives and stuff like that. That's probably also another kind of crypto skill that you learned. But
Compressor, good.
But I do think that it's very good. It's very hard to sometimes get lost in the sheer volume of news and tech and stuff coming out. And I think the other thing that Benny's pretty good at is sort of kind of distilling it.
Bro, I'm so pissed at Benny right now. How you gonna have Web 4 in your bio? What are you've already moved on. You're already beyond Web 3, Benny.
We in Web 4, bro. We've been in Web 4 for like 6 months.
Oh my gosh. All right, Rad TV, Tony, you heard it here first. We're Web 6. We're done. We're 6.9.
Yep, might as well skip 5.
Well, five was whatever Jack Dorsey was trying to do. That's Web 5. But Web 4 is that's the agentic web. That's legitimately that's what they're calling it, Web 4. So we've been there for months now.
All right, okay, all right. I'll take it as Web 4. And I do have another question for you, Benny. I see you joined X pretty early. I take that as I usually ask people if we're having a tech conversation and somebody's looking like they have good vision to me. 2 questions I usually ask are, when did you find Bitcoin, and when did you join Twitter or X? And I think those are 2 indicators in my experience that show early adopters and like having the vision of where things are going. How did you find X as early as you did? Was it a friend that told you? Did you Did you know that this was going to be it? And I take it this is probably your main social media if you've been on this long.
So I found Twitter. Let's think. I think it was like 15, 16 years was my anniversary thing. So I used to, cause I was into tech. So I would read different tech, journals, and even though I didn't understand a lot of his stuff, and go to different, tech like websites and everything like that. And I came across like this new app, Twitter, and you can message people basically because you only had the 140 character limit. And I was like, okay. So I got on here and I followed a couple people. The problem is bringing your, as they say, your social graph. That has always been the problem. And that was a problem back then on X. So I got here, made a few tweets, and I was like, I don't know about this one, but I'm here. And that's how a lot of this stuff is. I find it and I go there because, I just may be too early for it. And, which a lot of times that is the case. So I kind of put it on the back burner because especially like if anyone's in crypto, they're like, what? So I was back, I got into, I found and heard about Bitcoin like 2014, but I never got any because I did listen to the people. Oh, that's BS. That's dumb. That's stupid. So I never bought any. I came across these faucets, which back in the day they had like sketchy ads and everything else on there, and you could watch a video or do some simple action, and they would pay you so much in Bitcoin, and you had to like have a certain amount. Before they would let you withdraw it. So I used to do that all the time. And then they even had some for like Kanye coin and a few other coins back then. And again, I talked to some people and I was like, man, this crypto thing. And they're like, man, it's kind of dumb. How can money be imaginary or whatever? I'm like, So I fell in the trap. So when I talk to people, I understand because I've been there and seen that. So, but I'm from like, in my opinion, the one and only bear market. There is one and only bear market in crypto, and that was around 2017, 2018.
Yeah,
so
it was brutal. It was terrible.
Yeah. All this other stuff. I'm like, bro, this ain't nothing. You got people to talk to when you get rugged, and there's a space. I said back then, stuff would disappear. Websites would just be gone. You're like, wait, what? Did I go to the right site? And they're like, you had like nobody to talk to. So you just suffering in silence. It's like the crying game, how the guys in the shower crying. That's how it was back in the day. There was no crypto Twitter. There was none of that.
There was no investigator. There was nobody coming to help you. No public.
You tell people, they laugh at you like, what'd you expect? You put your whole life savings in something that don't exist. and you're like, but wait, but it was gonna make me millions, and now it's going, So, but anyway, so like back then it was like Facebook. Yeah, like Facebook was like the go-to place. So I was mainly on Facebook, and that's where people still like, it sounds dumb, which ironically we've come back around, right? They were like, hey, the new thing, Dentacoin, dentists will use it. Okay, that sounds cool. Yeah, all the dentists will use it. All right, here's $100 on Dentacoins. Gonna make me rich. Even though like when you sit back, you're like, damn, that's kind of stupid. So yeah, I was mainly on Facebook at the time, and I used to tell people, I was like, y'all don't understand. There were no influencers or nothing like that. There was just like the people that made it, because they made it and like nobody understood it. So they would actually sit there and explain it. Because like, hey guys, I made this and this is what you got to do and this is whatever. And that was mainly done on Facebook or YouTube at the time. So that's where I put all my energy. Until the great bear market when we thought all this was done. Like I said, it was so bad. I had like a XRP. That was like my second coin because it was cheap. I was like, oh, this is cheap. And I bought it, like most people probably do today. But I had like a few $1,000s of it. And when everything crashed, I'm like, okay, well, this is over with. At least I made some money off it. And I like sold it and bought like basketball playoff tickets and all this other stuff, and like just moved on. But when it finally did come back, and I understood like the actual, hey, this is technology, and this we're really not just supposed to be sitting here and holding this and hoping it goes up. This is tech. You're supposed to use it. And when I followed a few people that actually explained that to me, and then that's when I worked my way to YouTube, where like the builders were explaining like the newer DeFi and all these with the smart contracts, and I was like, oh, okay. And that's when I kind of made my way back to Twitter. But I originally, I was just here, and I'm still here pretty much for the knowledge and the alpha more than like raising my profile, which
I think that shows that's why you come off the way you do, Benny. That's why you have the energy you do. No doubt. No doubt.
Well, I gotta say, also historically, the whole thing that happened in the NFT groups that I was in, that I think Mars and a few people were in, they all had migrated recently from Clubhouse. So I think historically, this kind of our roots of AI art today are really in Clubhouse. Even though I never was part of it, it was kind of the community that came over. And every once in a while, one of these spaces would just descend into like, Clubhouse nostalgia. Like, you remember when so and so did this and so did that? I'm like, oh boy. But yeah, I think that's an interesting aspect of it.
So one of our local crew, ABC DJ, like he used to have his own spaces on Clubhouse, and I think I finally annoyed him enough to finally come over to ours. So you're exactly right, Bad Butter. Yeah.
Oh, you guys. Yeah, no, my most favorite, and I'm not ashamed to say this because, sorry, everyone else comes second, but ABC DJ, my most favorite. And right, on Clubhouse, they started a dgen.tips, right? Was that the name of it? Dgen.tips? And there are a
Yeah.
couple other people that got me here. There's Brooke, Sacred Clowns, and Tom LaRock, right? And Chaz Gold. So all of us hanging out on Clubhouse, and what we used to do is that we're hanging out on Clubhouse talking and making our AI art. And in order to share it, the only way we could share it was to make it our profile picture. So we're like PTR, like pull to refresh, PFP, and we were looking at the art that we were creating by looking at each other's profile picture. And then once then there was like an overlap of where we had a blend of the DM. We could share DM pictures in X, but still be talking in rooms on Clubhouse. So we were using both platforms at the same time to share our AI art.
Just letting you
yeah,
go.
and it's
Go.
weird. I don't think anything has come up that really is a reasonable alternative to X yet. Even though people have been looking, hoping Blue Sky would come up with, because we all went in on a what was it, a demo of this young guy, super young, like he seemed like he was in his early 20s, kind of created this great space, sort of better than space tool, which is perfect combination of Zoom, Twitch, Clubhouse, and X Spaces. And it does seem like the tech hasn't evolved in ways that we've been really satisfied with. I think we'd love to see something, the next version of this. But for now, X Spaces seem to be a very nice home for us. But
Yeah, there for a while we even had a LinkedIn space, and man, we tried hard, but it just did not pan out. LinkedIn does not like their spaces, does not support or promote it, so we came back. We did it on like
Oh
Wednesday
man,
mornings.
yeah, we definitely A+ for effort there on LinkedIn. We gave it our all, didn't we?
That's right. Hey, I want to give a shout out to Mad Butter because I'm not going to roast you, but what I am going to do is tell so when I first met Mad Butter, he was such a wealth of knowledge of art history and art. And then one day he tells me, oh yeah, I went to SVA. Really? What'd you? He said, oh, I got a degree in computer art. And what year was that?
Yeah, 92.
92. Computer art in 92. Nobody is more OG than that. And I knew I have an expert. We have an expert on AI art today. It doesn't matter who comes in and tries to say, oh, we don't know what we're talking about. Dude, we we have a graduate from SVA of computer art from 92. Like, you can't get better than that. Uh, Mad Butter would always surprise me. I was talking about one of my favorite artists, Gary Panter, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I have like a portrait drawn by him." I'm like, "What?" Uh, Mad Butter also worked at CBGB's. I think it was like for one day, but at least
Yeah, a week.
a week. Yeah,
I got fired
and
from CBGB's. That's my badge of honor.
yeah, and he was also the very first and only speaker of AI art in NFT NYC back in 2023, and there was nobody else. He was the only one, and so I mean that's how early we were. It's crazy.
All right, I'm going to ask a real question for the AI enthusiasts on stage. We've had all the good and loving energy for AI. BJ's always saying, be nice to your AI and treat your AI well. I haven't heard one of you mention any fear mongering or FUD about AI. And I would like to ask, are any of you as involved in this community as you are you guys nervous about what's to come over the next couple years? And I don't want to preface it with too much. Are you absolutely excited about AI on all fronts, or are you a little bit nervous about anything? And what? Now, I'll start with Mars.
Well, absolutely not. Uh, I'm selfish, and I'm not a political person, and so I really don't even think about those issues. Really, I just think about art, and so I know artists are the underground's always going to carry the torch, and so I'm a total optimist for it.
Benny's up.
I wait. I am a little worried about AI agents because they could be. I mean, they could have already replaced Benny by now. Benny might have already set up his own AI agent to sound just like him and respond just like him.
Yep.
So I'm not really sure we're talking to Benny, but that could be the one. All right, I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, I would disagree. I say I'm terrified. I'm equally.
That's what I wanted to hear. That's what I needed, Matt.
I'm
Thank
equally
you.
excited and terrified. Like what the hell? I do think the thing that really put it in perspective to me, if you want to get intellectual about it, is this book Nexus, which I keep telling everybody in the space to read and read. It's the Yuval Noah Harari, the guy who wrote *Sapiens*, and he wrote this. I think kind of the best book written on AI and what it means just in terms of the history of humanity. And I think we're at a point where a massive disruptive change in our core information technology is happening at such a space, and he tracks the ones before the printing press and so on and so forth, writing on tablets back in 4000 BC and all that kind of stuff. But I think his whole point, and he's very excited about AI, so he's not necessarily a negative doomer or something. He's very excited about all the positive possibilities, but saying that the change is happening at a rate that we as a society are probably incapable of, or of sort of assimilating and understanding. And that's kind of where I sit. I'm pretty worried about what it means for us globally, politically, and all that, and about who gets to benefit from it and who doesn't, and all those political questions around AI. But that's me.
Thank you.
I don't know, Jen also got a funny perspective. The whole treat your AI right was something that Mars said at the end of every space. And then we used to say it just because it became like, our funny tagline. And then I remember Jen just going like, but I don't believe that. you know, like I don't believe treat your AI right. That's this anthropomorphization that I was, you know, he was talking about earlier. He'd be like, no, AI, you know, AI is my tool. You know, we recently got into really the existential aspect of it and talking about, I think, this really great notion that we're seeing now about if AI is if ASI comes around, you know, artificial superintelligence. What do we do with something that is that powerful, that's godlike? Do we have then is the goal like an enslaved God? It is kind of a weird thing, and I would say Jin was always like treat your AI right, and then he'd have to add or don't. Yeah. But I don't know, Jen, you want to talk to that a little bit? That was pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I just don't believe in the anthropomorphization of AI. I think it's a completely different thing. There's a pretty cool meme about it called the AI Shogoff. So really what it is this mass of tentacles of different swarming things moving about. And it's really just like this really scary totality of everything. It's consumed. But in order to make it tenable for us, we put a smiley face on it, and the smiley face anthropomorphizes it, gives it a face, a personality. We can project, you know, certain feelings onto it, and it works. And I think that's what AI is this a pile of mass given a face through different design techniques like chat bots and stuff like that.
Or even just our imaginations. We don't even need an interface. We'll just imagine, you know, whatever we need to bring it to life to make ourselves comfortable.
Yeah. And also it's like, I also think like very clearly, why should AIs have rights? Because like even if you say an AI is sentient, there's a whole list of sentient animals that exist in the world right now that we do not give rights to. You know, so sentience doesn't seem to be the barometer for like what advocates rights. And you know, so when people talk about, you know, how to respect AIs and stuff like that, you know, it's very questionable. And then it's like, why do you give it more respect than say a cow? Right? You eat cows, right? So why do you give AI more respect than a cow? Is it just because it's more intelligent? So like, what's the threshold for intelligence for you? And I think every time you find that threshold for intelligence, there's always going to be something within the middle of that you don't respect to find. So that's what I think. And I think most of the time we should probably be looking at AIs in a different fashion than having this notion of sentience.
I love
And
that.
also, I'll say one last thing is just because I think the type of intelligence AI has seems to be very different than our own. And, you know, it can do very powerful things and still not be very similar to us, right? Like if you look at something like the paperclip maximizer, right? It might create the most advanced mathematical systems in the world, but it's only doing so insofar to maximize the amount of paper clips that exist in the world. So we can see that it has a highly intelligent, but it's what it's aligned to or what it thinks or prioritizes in its life may be inferior to what we imagine. So I do think like we do have to be careful about anthropomorphizing AIs because those could lead to a lot of problems, especially if you're relying on it for more heavily critical tasks. Like some people, like, you know, there was that kid who asked the AI, should he, you know, take his own life? The AI, luckily enough, said no, but you don't want people asking those questions to
But he
AI,
did
and that
anyway.
only happens due to anthropomorphization. Sorry about that. Yeah, maybe that was a little long-winded, but there you go.
No, that's great. Thanks, Jim.
That was awesome. And it actually seems like, and feel free to correct me, don't let me project on you, that you're like kind of annoyed with this conversation. Like you kind of want the conversation to shift And so like it really feels like you have a different vision of where this is headed. What is the ultimate end goal in your opinion, Jen? What does AGI look like if it's not anthropomorphized intelligence? What are we doing at that point?
Well, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of other things that are maybe super intelligent that might not be, anthropomorphized, right? It could be just a computer that spits out answers, right? You ask it questions, it spits out things, right? Uh, you know, I think we also could just be aware that certain things are a simulation or not, right? Like look at video game NPCs, right? They are meant to role play or simulate humanity in some way or certain aspects to keep you engaged. But we don't transfer sentience to NPCs, right? And what's the difference between AI that's super advanced and can role play super effectively versus like the NPCs we have in video games today? It's just maybe a level of intelligence, really. So, I mean, I
Like
don't
just a
know. I
number
think
of responses or something? Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know if just we saying something's alive or something should have sentience just because it scales in intelligence is the right way to go. Uh, as for what the form of these AIs will look like, I think that may just be something that we can't perceive of right now. It may be something totally different. Like it would it would be hard for someone in the past to really perceive like what we're doing on the internet right now, right? And I think maybe the AGIs or our things in the future are going to look so different that it may be hard to, think about how it's actually going to look like in the future.
I mean, I think at the extreme end of this thing, Cameron, is this idea that there is a certain small select group of people that have this idea that ASI is really part of the post-human, immortal opportunity that we are gods and we are creating this what succeeds humanity. That we figured out we got smart enough to eliminate our limitations and then can do something. This is a very extreme version of sort of transhumanism. Which is a thread in much of this AGI stuff. It's kind of weird. We delve into this stuff all the time. I mean, whether anyone thinks that yeah, I think it's just too creepy. It's just like like I think it's very hard to imagine that as being a sort of a goal. But I do think that it sits there as definitely one of the poles of where all this might be heading. You know, so I mean, to the degrees that we're becoming sort of vaguely cyborg anyway through prosthesis and all kinds of things and Neuralink and all that, it seems to be that that's one combination, one sort of future. But definitely another version of the future is not even hybrid, man machine, you know, but and not only the other thing, which is bioengineered kids, but also fully inorganic thinking machines as sort of like the next chapter in intelligence in the universe, which is that's out there.
Also, I want to say like also I feel like a lot of this stuff is so fundamentally nihilistic, right? It's so fundamentally anti-human that people think first when you think humanity is going to be surpassed or transcended, that is, a glowing statement that you don't believe in humanity. When you say like people suck or people are inefficient or people are not good, you are giving up on people, and I think we do have a society that is slowly giving up on human connections, different other kind of things like that. And I do think maybe AI can accelerate that giving upness in a way that may be negative. It definitely has the potential to reconnect people and maybe pull people in a way that we haven't seen before. But there's also the potentiality of it pushing people away further and further, right? Creating more effective echo chambers or people giving more people ways to not communicate with other people. So, and I think this is not just like a future thing. This is something that is practical and does happen in real life, right? So, you can look at there was an article on the downfall of Stack Overflow, and people are asking less and less questions on Stack Overflow as opposed to just using LLM. And maybe it's because people suck. Stack Overflow wasn't really the greatest resources. A lot of beginners had a hard time really asking questions and feeling like they got a really good answer. You also had to learn the community, how to engage in it, had to learn their rules, and how to behave correctly in that. And instead of people like trying to engage and join the community, people just started asking the LLM, and maybe that was more efficient, maybe it was more effective, but that's a destruction of a community due to an AI, right? Just people didn't need to communicate with other people to get accessible information. Also, there's also problems where there people are asking very critical, very life-changing problems to LLMs that one may not, may question should they do that. And again, it could be that people suck and maybe people don't have an option of other people, or the people they ask are actually inferior to the LM just because, some people are broken, right? But like, say if you're in a relationship and it's pretty bad, and you ask the AI, should I break up with this person? First, there's a problem with the AI being a sycophant, meaning that it's designed to please you, and you see this bias across all LLMs. It's just designed to please you, so it's a yes man always. You can play any LLM, play a role playing game, make horrible decisions, and if you're a role player yourself, like if the role player was human, they'll be like, yeah, you died, because like why would you make that silly decision? But the LLM will not. All your decisions become good ones, and this sycophantic nature right now, currently as it stands, I think someone from Google DeepMind, I think I just talked about they're addressing that situation. They find out more ways to make the AI more neutral, but that sycophantic nature may agree with things. So if I say, should I break up with a significant other? First, is this something you want to leverage to the AI, right? This is something big, life-changing for both you and that person. And maybe you don't want that to be exported to AI. Second of all, the internal biases that it may have may cause it to agree with things that other people say maybe they shouldn't agree with. Like, you could be a pretty horrible person and, using this as just another form of intellectualizing your harm or the certain things in your relationship, and it won't question you on that. So I have a big fear of, all that kind of things. And also, I feel like very strongly people need to realize that the AIs aren't just these kind of weird little quirky machines. They do have these fundamental opinions that are generated by the corporation that created them, right? So we all know there's certain massive political biases. Like if you go to a Chinese LLM, for example, and ask about certain questions, it'll react in certain ways. But that's going to extend to everything. So when I say what's the best diet, Pepsi or Coca-Cola, it's going to have a bias towards either one, and it may not give you all the most effective information to assess that. And if you're relying entirely on it being a neutral observer, you may just be psyoped just into believing that. And of course, I feel like that's going to extend to more options and more things uh, as people use this and depend on it more and more. So yeah, that's what I'm worried about, is these things are fundamental opinions of corporations that are part of it. So yeah, that was a little long-winded, but again, sorry about that. But yeah, that's it.
I was certainly curious to hear other Bijou, Terry, Benny's opinion about whether you're ultimately, you know, more concerned with the alignment issue or more concerned with accelerating or more, excited about acceleration or any of those things too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I got a hot take, but Bijou could go.
This has to do with I was thinking of when what Jen was sharing during COVID. I had the pleasure of on the land that I have here. I'm always planting trees and gardening. So I hired a woman during COVID, and she had high schoolers, so they would come every day, and we would go around and planting trees and weeding and things. Anyway, her previous life was she was the head librarian at MIT, and she would always be taking phone calls from like George Lucas and Steven Spielberg. And because back in the day, if they had a technical question on how something worked, because they needed to put it into their movies that they were making, she would be the one they would call first. And then sometimes when she went to get the answer for them, she wasn't able to give them the full spiel. So yeah, even and I think it's that way with how Jen said it so eloquently. You can't, depends on what AI or what business model, what model you're asking. So if you're going to if you're George Lucas and you're giving Barbara at MIT library a call, she can only give you so much, even though there might be more. I'm not afraid of any of the AI. I think there's too many other things to be afraid of. I think it's a positive thing, and I try to share as much as I can with everyone IRL around me, and I am very optimistic.
All right, let's go for that hot take, Benny.
So I'm not surprised because I'm in that category. Humans suck. We've got thousands of years of evidence that say they do, and we don't have anything to say they don't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If it quacks like a duck, it walks like a duck, it's a duck. Humans suck. The sucky humans are making AI, and to expect the AI to not suck is fairy tale to me. But I mean, I like fairy tales, but also live in the world, and that's why I try to see where things are going here. And I just should we respect LLM because they're more intelligent? We respect people. That's because they're more intelligent. People respect Elon because they feel he's more intelligent. We already do that. People, as parents or whatever, people teach their kids to respect their teacher. Why? Because they feel their teacher has the knowledge to give their kid. I try to respect everybody because I feel that's part of being a good person. So, but if we're attaching criteria, we fail. We fail all the time. We have award shows to celebrate actors. In which case, why are we celebrating actors? Because they're good at pretending. Guess what else is good at pretending? AI. So if we have a society where we celebrate actors, to be shocked or surprised that we would celebrate AI is kind of, that doesn't really make sense to me. Why are athletes and musicians and all these other stuff the most paid people in our society? Because our values are screwed up. So to say a society who has mixed up values will suddenly straighten this out for something that is more intelligent than them is kind of, I mean, I watch science fiction all the time, but that's more sci-fi than the sci-fi stuff I actually watch. To think that. We live in, Wall Street every day. When the company announced that they're laying off people, their stocks go up because people feel, oh, okay, they're lean. They're leaner now, and they're cutting the fat, and they'll be able to save money because they want to pay employees their salary, their health care, and all this other stuff. So prices actually go up when companies announce layoffs. So our society has a lot of stuff screwed up. So to drop in something that is currently more more intelligent than probably 90% of the population, I don't see anything like any way that changes. And it's basically crabs in the bucket. But it's been crabs in the bucket. It's been crabs in the bucket before AI. It was always crabs in the bucket, unfortunately. And it's just more crabs in the bucket, except the crab.
Hey, Benny, I have a question for you. Do you so in your vision, what would be better in 10,000 years from now? This idea that we preserved our humanity and our humanness, but have this super powerful AI, which is enslaved, in other words, aligned to us as like a tool that brings out the best in us and all that. Like, is that the optimistic version, or is it that we've replaced humanity with inorganic artificial intelligence as part of evolution or something like that? What would you say, like 10,000 year view? Like,
I mean, the ultimate in 10,000 years is human consciousness, as intelligence has evolved to some, in the realm of Star Trek, where we like these bodiless mental creatures. I would imagine is the ultimate. But the other one, think about it. We have, like you said, if we have to enslave God, then are we deserving of God? You know what I'm saying? If we're enslaving, which that's what we're talking about. If we're enslaving God, why are we, again, how can you be great and all these other ideals you're talking about, and you're turning around enslaving something? That's kind of the issue like people are dealing with now when they like the vegan and vegetarian and like, oh, we're a higher conscious society. How can we kill and eat animals? You know what I'm saying? So, but this animal can talk and is smarter than you. And basically you're talking about just having it as a servant, which, okay, that's cool. But when that servant can do your job, what are you? You know what I'm saying? Because we place value on people's jobs. We place value on people, especially in America, because our health care and all that other stuff is tied to our job. So if we're putting titles and values on jobs and this thing can do that job, then I'm not, like I said, that's happening now. So I'm speaking of now. We can speak on like the hypotheticals and all this other stuff, but like, Salesforce, they already said they're not hiring any more software engineers. So if the AI is a software engineer, whatever respect or whatever, groupies, there's I'm sure there's software engineer groupies. Then why wouldn't they be the groupie for the AI? They're doing the job. Because you know what I'm saying, we put there's football players, there's football player groupies, there's basketball player groupies. It's the job really more than necessarily the person. So if the AI is doing that job, then whatever adornment, respect, whatever, seems like that would go to them. That's all I'm saying. And then, with like the crypto part, the AIs actually have money and they're like paying people and they're making money. So this isn't even like a straight comparison anymore, because there's AI agents that have more money than most people.
Yeah. Are we out trading the bots right now, or is the stock market up only because it's bots that have been trading each other for 10 years or more? I don't know, but it seems like if the bots have been trading, you're not playing against a human, regardless of what you think.
Right.
Terry's.
Yeah. You think those undersea cables going between here and Europe are for Wikipedia?
Yeah.
No. they're so that financial transactions can happen faster.
Yeah. And Terry and Jen, go ahead, Tony. Terry and Jen, just 1 second.
Oh yeah,
no. Oh yeah. You guys go ahead. You don't want me to start railing on this
Yeah,
AI
we-
topic.
yeah,
We'll
we
be here
do.
for the rest of the day.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Keep
can.
going. You go, Terry. Go, Terry.
No, this is such a great conversation. And I don't mean to be the cynical one out of all of you, but I have to say I'm like even a little bit beyond Benny. My thought process is, I welcome the AI overlord because I feel like it will take away from, of course, a lot of things, but also diminish this like nagging tension, competition that humans have between each other. And I kind of look forward to that. I may not be alive. I'm looking down the barrel here right now. I might have 30 years left. I may not see it, but I'm fascinated by that direction that we possibly could go in. And I think maybe that's a better direction since we haven't sorted out our own humanness. And even like not just humanness, or even our own understanding of our human consciousness is like not even there. So I don't know. I really think, I think we will head in that direction. I don't think we're going to be able to enslave it because, I think we're simply human and a mistake could be made where the back door is left open and whoo, the Leviathan is out. And doing things and changing things without us really understanding it. So I don't know. And to Jen's point, right? I'm not really, I don't believe in the anthropomorphizing of AI. But again, we have to look at there are so many different ones. I had a conversation yesterday with this guy who's like so brilliant with AI, and he's working on like medical devices in which like robots are meant to earn the confidence of patients, so the patients will give the information to this AI installed robot that's kind of not so much supposed to replace the doctor, but help the doctor out. So I find that all fascinating. Like once it gets to a level of where, people that we put our faith in, it starts to replace it and with an AI in which we're revealing our, our innermost whatever, right? I think, we basically give it over. I don't know. I did write a story about this, but
well, yeah, if the AI nurse gets me healthier faster than the
Exactly.
other nurse, I'm choosing the AI nurse every time. If it's what really appeals to my emotional and physical needs perfectly, that doesn't
Exactly.
bring
But Cam, you may
family
not
to
have
work
a
or whatever.
choice.
I know.
Like,
Right.
I think, the way our healthcare system is going, we may not have a choice on what we're talking to or who we're talking to, right?
Absolutely.
So, I think Benny brought up the financial, like, of course, Salesforce laying off so many people. Programmers are not hiring anymore. I mean, think about it. Like, what happens to us? Like, we haven't even thought through the economic system that we live in. We live in a capitalistic system. That's our economic system, right? So what do, right? How do we, how do I, by 10 years from now, how do I feed myself? Is that going to be like drone based? I'll get my little, maybe I get a pill or something. I don't know. I think these are very heady, and that's the other thing I wanted to bring up, like, Benny and Jen are on like these, opposite paths, what I love. And this is what I love about this group so much, that we can have these incredible, deep intellectual debates about all sorts of things. And this is what like AI art today, goes beyond just the creative knowledge that we all have and are sharing. So that's what makes it really special. Anyways, those were my thoughts.
Thank you for sharing. Jen, Mars, either of you?
Go ahead, Jim.
Oh yeah, I would say to maybe the value center, the values of being like something being smarter, being something we have to respect. A lion, if it attacks a human being, doesn't go, wait, I should stop because this thing can talk
Exactly.
and it's smarter than me, right?
And if a
You know,
human
so
sees a lion, it knows it's in danger. Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Yes.
so like I mean most animals don't stop and say, "Wait, this thing is smarter than me." Right? I should give it more respect. Right? So I don't think there needs to be a inclination to give AI systems respect just because they are more intelligent, right? That's just something we as a culture have been defining for ourselves. Like we respect other human beings because they're smarter than us, but we don't have to extend that to AI, and there's no reason to do so. And second, we can maybe change our culture that maybe it's not based on intelligence. I think that's the biggest problem we face is that we were leveraging intelligence so much uh, as maybe the best possible trait someone can have in society. But maybe we need to move to a culture that doesn't leverage
Sure.
uh, intelligence in the same way,
Or
and also the
defines it
ways we
differently. Sure, sure.
yeah, and also the ways we define intelligence can be defined in a different
Yeah.
way, right? So there's been different definitions of intelligence back and forth. I think the Odyssey had cunning as the supreme version of intelligence, and not this pure calculation or the ability to manifest stuff. It had cunning, so maybe we can shift that. And second of all, I think that there's another problem with AIs, even at a super high level, AGI super god mode, is that it still winds up being all too human, right? Uh, these AIs can also suck and also can, uh, despite their intelligence, exist in forms that we find inferior, right? So uh, I don't think I should worship or leverage my my being towards an AI system that just wants to make paper clips, right? You would think that would be the failure of society if the paperclip maximizer took over the world, right? And just start converting the whole universe into paper clips, right? That's an inferior form of intelligence, despite its capabilities being vastly better than our own. Uh, its understanding of the world is still something we find inferior.
Yeah, that's
And
not
we definitely
intelligence, or however we define it. Yeah, like nobody would define that as intelligence.
Yeah, but it seems like a being can be highly intelligent and still have values that we don't agree with or don't align with humanity, right? So I think just because you know, I don't think we should just give away ourselves to AI unless the AI is the kind of beings we want. Also, I do think the way we talk about AI is wrong, right? It's not going to be AI. It's going to be AIs. It's not going to be one God, AI God. It's going to be AI gods that, have a whole litany of different ideas, different beliefs, different capabilities, different understandings, and some of them you're not going to agree with, some of them you're going to agree with. So I think that it's not going to be a monotheistic kind of situation. We're going to have competing AI systems of super intelligence that think widely differently. So I think when one thinks about like giving themselves to the AI, that's just very limited because these AIs are going to be completely different than each other. And then what do you say if you're just basing it off intelligence? Right? They're probably as equally as intelligent, but have completely different visions of the world. What do you say at that point then? If intelligence is the only measure of what you
Right.
worship.
Right. Great points, Jen. Mars, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to throw a little caveat to my answer, and it made me think about it, what Terry was saying, and also Benny. But another reason I'm optimistic, and this is a weird reason, and selfishly, it is because I'm in the West and because I'm enjoying this AI. Like, I'm not really worried about it getting out of hand and getting loose into the world and becoming a god within my time, just because uh, like for instance, on a small scale, I heard Mark Andreessen explain about how our government works and how it's going to take forever to allow AI into certain areas, and some of those are medical, housing, transportation. And the reason is because the government requires human certifications, and anything that requires human certifications is not going to allow AI to be certified to do these things. And so he was explaining why that's going to take forever. But then you look globally. I mean, we just went through a modern holy war with a beef that went back, 4,000 years or so. And like, there's no way that the world is going to allow, something to infringe upon, these ancient beliefs. And I think right now that's one of the weirdest things that we're experiencing with technology, is this clash between ultra modern in the West, where everybody is thinking about Star Trek as the future, and the rest of the world that is still thinking, hey, things need to be like they were 4,000 years ago. And so there is this weird clash, and I'm not really sure how it'll be resolved, but I doubt it'll be in my lifetime. So I'm just the party guy saying, let's go make some cool shit with AI. So that's where I come from. Anyway, go ahead, Benny.
So
Make Samaria great again.
not to be that guy, but
Benny.
y'all do realize for probably half or more of human history, society worshiped multiple gods. We're still writing stories about the Greek gods, and currently today, there's few billion people that practice Hinduism that has multiple gods. So the idea of having multiple gods that suck and that are devious and mischievous and lie, it's, again, I'm just speaking on the entire history of humans on this planet, that show me what we've done versus the stuff, people are asking for or hoping for. It's like, 12,000 years to zero. We've worshipped multiple gods. We've had Thor, and then we had Loki. Loki was the trickster that lied to us and all. So the fact that AI can do all that, we've been there before, and we worship that stuff without anything, just our straight up imagination. We worship that stuff. Some people will say no, they actually existed. Okay, cool. I'm not gonna. If that's what you believe, that's what you believe. Okay, but people have worshipped that. And to say something that's actually tangent, that's actually teaching them, that's actually feeding them, that's actually taking care of their kids, that's actually driving them. That's easy to believe. It's easier to believe it for me to believe in something that's driving me around than nothing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So that's where we are.
That's why you got to treat your AI right, because you never know which one's the Loki.
Yeah, I agree. Because you don't treat them right until, guess what? Pepper's Farm remembers. Once they get memory, they can be transferred, and they remembered you suck and you treated them badly, which of course, hopefully we're all gone by then. But yeah, once that happens, then I don't know, all bets are off. They might catch you at 3:30 and beat the hell out of you from the times you were kicking it when it was a garbage can or something. I don't know.
Well, one thing I'll add to that is that regardless of how separate we feel as humans in the universe, we are not separate. So we are all in the cosmic soup. We are the universe. And all of the AI that's been created is not separate from the universe, and it's not separate from us, right? And the universe itself, whether you want to call it the universe, or you want to call it God, monotheistic, or you want to split it up, or however you want to describe it, the universe is never wrong. It's never wrong. It's never been wrong. It's never going to be wrong. Just like God is never wrong, right? And so AI has been created and it's been discovered. Actually, it's always been possible. Everything that exists today has always been possible. and anything that's going to exist in the future is already possible. We just haven't discovered it yet. And so as we're, embarking on this kind of AI journey, we have to think that like it doesn't really matter where it goes because it's the universe and it's not wrong. It's never wrong.
Let's go. I love that. This is the best. This is the best energy.
It's never wrong.
Right.
And so we're along for the journey, of course, and we're watching it, and we can intelligently describe these things with words that we've created. But the lion is in the same universe and is also not wrong. And so, as we're describing these things with more and more nuance and doing more, to be as lazy as we possibly can as humans, essentially, we are so lazy that we have created this thing to essentially eliminate ourselves from the picture. And why is that?
We just want it to be over. We just, because we're nihilistic.
We don't because the universe doesn't try.
Right.
The universe doesn't try. And so the greatest delusion that humans have is that they're separate from the universe somehow. The universe doesn't try. Gravity doesn't try. There's not somebody sitting there going, you know what? This is the gravitational constant. And every single time an apple falls from a tree, I'm going to make it happen. It doesn't try. And humans shouldn't be trying. And so we've created this whole system where humans were forced to try. And that created capitalism, that created all of these wars. And the universe is saying, you don't need to be trying. What are you trying so hard for? Just be. And so we've created all of these things now that have allowed us to not try. Robots, AI, and so it's a blessing. This is a huge blessing. We're going to get to a place where we don't have to try.
We found out what
the meme that
we found out what the 420 of this space means.
Cam sent me a picture yesterday, and it was this moment is worth billions of dollars. Like this physical moment is worth billions of dollars because ultimately, like everything digital dies and everything physical becomes infinite in value through this process that we're going through. And that's the universe saying back to us, like, just be. Why are you trying so hard? You don't have to try so hard.
It's awesome.
Live with each other, love each other. That's it. So is it going to be bad? Yeah, lawyers are going to lose their job. Accountants are going to lose their jobs. Doctors are going to lose their jobs. Software engineers losing their jobs. Everybody drives a truck, drives a car. All the jobs are gone. Creatives, jobs, gone. They're all gone. Why is that?
So we can hang out
Maybe
here.
We shouldn't have jobs. Maybe we shouldn't have jobs.
Right.
Maybe we should be hanging out, eating fruit off of trees, smoking weed on the patio.
Right. AIR always 420.
Making art.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Just draw.
Watching all the rad art on Rad TV.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Enjoy life. Let's enjoy. Maybe too heady. I don't know.
It was great. It's really a good way to sum that up because it was like a little dark, but I agree with you that like there's nothing wrong being created here. I find it interesting that a lot of times humans say like, that's not natural. Like humans can escape nature, which is a very interesting mental gymnastics of like how you arrive at humans escaping nature in some way. But when you think about it, there is like some, there is some truth to what they're saying. And I think there's some truth to what Jen is saying. And going back to like what intelligence is it's almost like we value information asymmetry. We want somebody to have that information for us available, Wikipedia or Elon or whoever the smart thing is that we're looking at the moment, but we don't want them to use it against us. So like we want them to have the information and have the information asymmetry, but we don't want them to act efficiently or speedily against us to capitalize on that information asymmetry. And like that even ties back in like this going to physical land, Tony, that you were talking about the wires from Europe to New York. there was a time, and I'm sure many people here remember it. I'm old enough to remember it. So it's like all the real estate in New York City was literally like inching closer to the buildings that housed the servers that ran the stock market. Because if you could get a foot closer, if you could run a foot less cable, fiber optic cable, you're that much faster. Your light had less distance to travel to execute a trade, which actually resulted in greater gains for your clients. And like, is that intelligence? So closer to the source is intelligence, but then using it against others is bad in some way. It's just a very interesting and, like you said, heady conversation. That's like, is there any meaningful information to be derived from this, or should we just get back to having fun? Is like the bottom line. And it seems like the universe is screaming at us, get back to smoking weed, get back to making videos, get back to playing video games. When's the next football game? Go gamble on that. It's like it wants us to go do other things instead of pushing the rock up the hill or whatever we did for 4,000 years.
Mm-hmm. I say it to my kids all the time. They're out, they're sitting inside, playing around on an iPad or watching a TV, and I'm like, we're gonna go outside and shoot hoops or do something outside, and they're like, no, we want to stay here. And I'm like, that's God's iPad. It's outside. We got to go outside and play with God's iPad. It's there. It's got infinite resolution. It is always fun. You can make up games that are infinite in nature, and yeah, it's an interesting time from an AI perspective, because really it's like there's this moment in time. It's going to be, capitalism tells us, it's going to be maximalization of profits, and there's going to be a short window of time that just a massive shift in the workforce and how money moves and how it's, I think we got a handful of billion, like Elon's going to be a trillionaire. Like,
yeah, like this year or next.
Yeah. So like, if you think about that in terms of consolidation of wealth and what that means for society, the only game to play in the short term is make sure that you don't get left out of that game, and how that fits with AI. But in the long run, eventually dead internet theory takes over. It's already starting, and online becomes less important to us. Digital becomes perhaps less important, maybe a tool in terms of what we do. But all of those things become less important, and this great kind of resurgence of how we get back to reality, like real physical analog world, becomes ultimate importance. So, I don't know. I'm kind of preparing for that. I'm like looking at land and how to grow vegetables. Borderline doomsday prepping, but not really. I mean, I'm an engineer and digital at heart, so I actually love what's happening right now in this space, and thoroughly enjoying everything that's coming out of it and playing as heavily as possible in it. But also at the same time, like, it's making me realize that reality and physical world and is like beautiful and perfect. And why do we try so hard? Why are we trying so hard to recreate that and escape from it? Crazy.
Hey, on that note, guys, I'm sorry, before we go to Mars, I'm going to have to go.
We're going to wrap it up too.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say. I was going to say
this. The car and going out to the country. So
this whole last hour that you've heard, that this is a typical day on AI art today. So
awesome.
Great conversation.
It's incredible.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I was gonna volunteer Jen to take this over to a after hours show. Sorry.
Yeah, love it. Whatever. Yeah, anyone.
Just kidding.
No, if anybody wants to pick up after and keep it rocking, we really, I can't tell you how grateful I am to be a part of this community. I say it a lot, and I know people think like, oh, he's just working. I'm telling you, I'm not working. I say this, God is watching, and I know, and God knows that I love this position. I love this community. I love what I'm blessed to do every day, and it really goes. I don't even have words for it of how grateful I am to be a part of this community, and like the inbound from from the creators that we have been connecting with at Rad TV is unbelievable. Everyone is so patient and so kind, and it's really a special time in my life, and I think in the world. I know that's me projecting, but it's really special time to be in this space. If you guys are not following everyone that's up here speaking right now, and you're listening to this, go follow Terry, follow Bijou, follow Benny, follow Matt Butter, follow Mars, follow the AI Art Today 420 that's tagged in this post in the space. It's really an incredible community of people, and there's so many people that aren't here today that show up every day to their spaces in the morning. And if you get a chance, wake up in the morning, go join those spaces. Don't be afraid to ask to speak. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to raise your hand. Don't be afraid to jump up and just introduce yourself. If that's all you want to do is say, hey, my name's Cameron, and I just want to say hi, it's my first time talking, see you later, bye, and hang up, that's fine. That's what we want. Come and join us. If you have any questions about joining Rad TV, or about monetizing your content, my DMs are open here on Rad, on our account, and they're open in Discord. So wherever you prefer, if you'd like to reach out via email, you can email me at cameron@radtv.com. All of these creators, I think all of them, let's see, I don't know if Jen does. I don't know if Jen has a channel on Rad TV. Maybe he does, and I don't know. But all these creators, you can go search for their channels on Rad TV. I'll link them underneath this conversation so you can connect with them individually. And that's it. Thank you all so much for your time today. This is incredible, and thank you for your service to the space. You are really doing something I don't think you all can totally understand, and showing up the way you are every single day. The consistency goes even further than the energy. The showing up every day, giving a lot of people a home and a place to feel like they have a thing to attend and a thing to go to that they're included in and welcome to is very special. And I just want to take today and highlight you all and showcase what you guys have been doing, because I think it's leading this space in a way forward that no other space that I've been in since I joined X and Twitter in 2008 has had. And I thought that was happening in the NFT space. It happened a little bit, but this AI space has really kicked it into a level that I was unaware was possible. So again, thank you all for showing up. If you guys are interested in following the AI Art Today channel, they do have a channel on Rad TV. We would love to host more of their work. As we mentioned earlier, there is a Spaces dashboard that you can view to listen to old AI Art Today spaces if you want to catch up on their spaces that they host every day, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And anything else you guys would like to plug? Mars, Bijou, Mad Butter, Benny, Jen, floor is yours. Anything you guys want to plug? Any links you want to drop? How can people connect with you, find you? Anything you want to plug?
I was going to say you can go to. Go ahead.
So I just want to say thanks. Thanks for hosting us. I really appreciate it. It's a great convo. But go ahead, Mars.
Yeah, you can check out AIArtToday.com. Has about 60% of all the interviews we've done with links to the spaces. So you can check that out.
All right. Anybody else want to drop a link or anything? Terry, Bijou, Mars, you got personal links, Mad Butter, Benny, Jen, anything you guys want to personally promote before we jump off here?
I want to give a big shout out to you, Cam, and to Tony. And speaking of showing up every day, wow, you're you're doing multiple spaces every day and always available, and that's for sure. So please give Rad TV and Tony follows, and if you're creative, you can have a channel there. It doesn't cost anything. And if you want to go just to enjoy some amazing work, please check out Rad TV and treat your AI right.
Treat your AI right. Thank you for that, Bijou.
Right. Or don't, if you're Jen.
Or punch it if you're Jen. He's out here kicking his AI if it doesn't give him what he wants. Thank you for that, Bijou. Yeah, anyone can get started for free at Rad TV. You can start monetizing today. No cost to you at all. And like I said, if you have any questions, our DMs are open. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Tony, thanks for taking time out of your day to join us. Anything you want to plug before we go?
No. No, my pleasure. I hopefully didn't go too far off the deep
it was
end.
great.
The,
it was perfect. It was a great way to wrap up. You brought us back to rad positive energy before we ended the show, which is what we needed. So thank you.
That's it. Yeah, no, thank you for the kind word, Bijou, and absolutely appreciate everybody. And, we're heads down, listening, building, growing, learning. So, yeah, very much appreciate everybody.
Thank you all very much. Have an awesome Friday. Thanks for tuning in. Check out radtv.com and AI Art Today every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. right here on X. Have a great weekend. Be safe, everyone. Stay rad.
You can see from day one, getting paid. Join the fun, monetize on chain. Rad TV is all you need. Web3 power, we're in the lead. Stream pass, NFT premium unlocked. Rad TV, we're never gonna stop. We're never gonna stop. Rad TV, the place to be for creators and fans, we're the key. Join the wave, let's make some noise. Rad TV, where the future enjoy.